so the new game here is we don't have today's multiple choice because I think it's helpful to look at the answers and see how they're set up. But then tomorrow there will not be multiple choice, so that'll be like the next level up. So now there's going to be two equations, and we're trying to find the area in between them. The area in between them is always going to be an integral from the left-hand boundary to the right-hand boundary of the top equation minus the bottom equation times dx. Dx is important because sometimes it's going to be dy. These equations, so let's clear this up hopefully first. Is this equation solved for y or solved for x? Solved for y. Is it in terms of y or in terms of x? It's in terms of x. So solved for y means in terms of x. This is actually like both because it's just a weird one. Solve for y in terms of x. Solve for y in terms of x. So this dx is important in this formula. It tells you everything in this formula needs to be in terms of x. And this matters because we're going to start flipping things sideways too. So this left-hand boundary is an x value. This right-hand boundary is an x value. The number, the variables that you put in here need to be x's. This dx is telling you everything in this problem needs to be an x, or represent an x somehow. So if I look at like this first one here, couple things I got to look at. The first thing I'm going to look at in number one is, can I find my left and right boundaries? So I'm looking at this shaded shape, and I'm looking at what is the leftmost x value that borders that shape. This is the part where you tell me that. 0, right? What's the right-handmost? 8. So we know we're from 0 to 8. That doesn't help us with multiple choice because they're all 0 to 8. But that's the first thing you're looking at, is like what's the boundaries on the side. And then I need to figure out top minus bottom. Couple things here. If you do it, well, somebody told me. Let's put it on you. How can I figure out which one of those equations is on top and the bottom if I didn't know? Like I think you all know what y equals x looks like, right? So that's the line. So like this one's y equals x. And if I didn't know that, bless you, how can I find out? So if you don't know, you're going to plug in a number. So let's just say I didn't know which one was on top. Pick a number in between 0 and 8, and we're going to plug it in there. This one is a giant pain because of the formula, but I can still kind of work with it. Like if I plug 2 in there for x, what do I get? 2. So I'm going to plug 2 in here, and what I want to know is this the number that I get bigger, which should be on top, or smaller, which should be on the bottom, than 2. Probably going to need a calculator for this one, but what's 2 squared? 4. Third root of 4. Alright, we're just going to complete nothing. You can use a calculator, you can look at the graph. I'm not doing third root of 4 in my head, but that's your next job, is to figure out which equation is on top and which one is on the bottom. And once you do that, you just plug it into that formula. So take a quick look through their answers and tell me which ones are set up correctly. I don't know the answer yet, but just tell me which ones are set up properly, in the right order, and everything is where it should be. What? Which one? Every one of them, right? They're all the same. So then the only thing you have to do is type it in. You know how to type it in, right? Should I go through that? That's the stuff you're doing yesterday. Never do. Yes. Yes, do it. They do get harder than that one. Well, I gotta make a battery transfer here. choose integrate. And I'm going to type in the top minus the bottom. So I'm going 2. I would do this as 2x to the 3 halves, or like 2x to the 1.5, because then I can avoid dealing with parentheses. I think it's probably easier. Wait. Is it 2 halves or 3 halves or 2/3? Third root of x squared is x to the what? 2/3. I said it right the first time. So 2x to the 2/3 minus x. Comma, I already forgot. Does x go first on the numbers? That's what we did yesterday, right? So this is how you type it in. This is the top minus the bottom. This is like the dx basically. You tell the calculator we're working in terms of x here. That's your left hand x value. That's your right hand x value. And I got 6.4. So did you guys get 6.4? Yes? No? Yes. Questions? Alright, let's look at 2. 2 is different because it changes. So the equation that is on the top, the equation that is on the bottom, flips halfway through. So you are going to have to set up 2 integrals. So for this region here, what is the left-hand x value? -2. The right-hand x value? 0. So I'm not going all the way over to here. I have to do it in 2 parts because this equation is on top for the first part, but then isn't this equation that I'm just looking at now on the bottom for the second part? So it flips. So I have to do 2 because there's 2 separate regions there. I have to do 2 separate integrals. So I'm only going from -2 to 0 for this part. And then I'm looking at top minus bottom. Well, y equals x squared. And if I call these a and b, right, yeah, which one's y equals x squared? A is, right? A is just the regular parabola, y equals x squared. So in this first region, that x squared is on the bottom. So you're going to do the top equation minus the bottom equation, comma x, comma -2, comma 0. And that'll give you the area of this portion of it. And then we flip it. So we got to do this one too. But do you see how the top and bottom changes? And then you just do it there. So what's the left-hand boundary of this portion? 0. The right-hand boundary will be 1, right? And then the one on top in this portion is the x squared. And this is a very common mistake. I'm going to make the mistake on the board right now. That is going to give you a wrong answer. What I just wrote down. Why? I'm not subtracting everything. So you have to make sure. So this is your top. This is your bottom. But the way I wrote it down, only subtracting like the 2x to the third, you have to put parentheses around that entire equation. Like, type those in and get your answers. I haven't looked at the setups yet, but does just set it up narrow down any of these? So you just got to type it in. I think it's the easiest way. I can get an answer from there. I don't care about the typing in part. Does the setup make sense? Yeah, what's up?
On these, none of them have the minus x squared.
They do. They just did it already. So they took they just combined these two, did 2x squared, yeah. So it's actually probably easier to get the answer first, and then you don't have to worry about simplifying. Questions there? Turn the page. Third one. This is kind of one of each type that you'll see. First type, number one, is just like there's a top, there's a bottom. Do the regular formula. Second type is they're split up because there's like a crisscross going on, and then you got to separate those. Do that. The third time, we're not even worried about where they intersect. They're just telling us. We're not even worried about the intersection points because these two don't even intersect. So they give us these two things. Well, those are in terms of x, right? I'm sorry, those are x values, right? And what kind of lines are those? Undefined is the slope of them. What kind of line? Don't say straight. Please don't say straight. Vertical. So that x equals 0 is your left-hand boundary. That's this. Okay. Draw it straight. That x equals 3 is your right-hand boundary. So I know right away I'm going from 0 to 3. And then we're going to try to figure out what's on top and what's on the bottom. Well, the one on the bottom is a line. That's got a squared in it. That doesn't. So this is my line, right? So that's your top minus the bottom. That'd be like how you set it up. You type it in your calculator, it's a little different, but that's how you set it up. The one nice thing here about if you got your top and bottom backwards, if you flip them, what would happen, do you think? Who is missing that? I might know this class always, but Isaac is good enough. And they always do. So those are the two people that touch it. Yeah. Uncle talks, but it's quiet. Smile makes like a little hand motion. Jack nods his head. That's about all I get. What would happen if it were backwards? What if I got my top bottom mixed up? There's the hand motion. Yeah. Yes. Can an area between this and this be negative? No. So if you do it wrong, you're going to get a negative answer. But basically, unless they ask for the setup, you can just be like, oh, well, I just must have done it backwards. Take the positive. So that's the only thing, like if you flip-flop those, I think that might be the hardest part of this. And if you get it wrong, you're going to know. So that kind of helps. We all right? This is painful. Are there any questions for me? Is there anything I can help with? Jackson, not decided we're good. Feedback here. Alright, well keep working, start working, whatever, and please ask if, I'm walking around, please ask if I can help you. I think that's a good introduction to it.